Thank you, Harrison. I call the meeting of the Environment and Sustainability Committee to order, and I welcome councillors and council staff and people watching online. Councillors in attendance are the full committee, which is myself, Deputy Chairperson Andrew Antonelli, Mayor Teresa Harding, Deputy Mayor Nicole Jonick, Councillor Jacob Madsen and Councillor Pi Augustine. No councillor apologies. I'll just do the acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of proud people. Declarations of interest. Do any of the committee members have any declarations of interest? No. I'll move on. Business outstanding is nil. Next item on the agenda is confirmation of minutes, item number 1. And we're confirming the minutes of the Environment and Sustainability Committee number 2004-03 in brackets of 13 August 24. And the recommendation is that the minutes of the Environment and Sustainability Committee held on 13th of August 2024 be confirmed. Do I have a mover? Councillor Antonelli, do I have a seconder? Councillor Madsen? Oh, Councillor Pi Augustine. Councillor Augustine. So I have a mover and a seconder. Do we have any discussion? If no discussion, I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? Against? Unanimous. Next item on the agenda is officers' reports. Item number 2. Queen's Park Education Centre operational update. This is a report concerning the Queen's Park Environmental Education Centre, highlighting key changes for the past 2 years and the plan for the future. The recommendation is that a report on the Queen's Park Environmental Education Centre be received and its contents noted. Do I have a mover? Councillor Antonelli. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Madsen. Discussion? Does anyone require the council officer to talk? Okay, discussion, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. For 15 years, the Queen's Park Environment Education Centre has educated the community by providing free information, workshops, play and display about Ipswich's unique environment and waterways. By sharing awareness of the importance of sustainability and our natural environment, we can encourage better behaviours when it comes to caring for our environment. With 23,000 visitors through the centre in the past financial year, this demonstrates the upgrade to the centre has led to a sharp rise in visitor numbers, showing the centre is meeting the community's needs. The school program is available Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays, which gives a guided tour of the Ipswich Nature Centre as well, with 31 schools having visited in the past year. Once a month there is a story time in the park and there are extra activities held during school holidays. And for the first time, an art exhibition was held at the centre, which saw over 3,000 visitors in 1 month. So if you haven't visited the Queen's Park Environment Education Centre in a while, and or if you're new to Ipswich, it's well worth a visit.
Yes, Mayor, I echo your thoughts. I visited it recently and excellent displays at the Environmental Centre. Anyone else have any contributions? If not, I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour of accepting the report? Good. Unanimous. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 3, Disaster Awareness Camera Network DACN update. This report concerns the progress in establishing and implementing the Disaster Awareness Camera Network, DACN, commonly called flood cameras. It describes the activities undertaken thus far and plans to roll out the DACN camera network across the Ipswich LGA. The recommended motion is that the report titled Disaster Awareness Camera Network DACN update be received and noticed. Do I have a mover? Councillor Antonelli. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Jonick? Oh, Councillor Augustine. Any discussion? And is there... Yes, ma'am?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Following the 2022 floods, I gave notice of a mayoral motion in the March 2022, which came forward in April 2022 for Council to undertake a comprehensive and citywide review of its flood response and recovery efforts, and really take the opportunity to listen to the community's views on the best way to move forward. As a result, Ipswich is now more flood resilient than it has ever been, and we have built back with improved resilient features. In 2023, we installed 11 temporary cameras to monitor roads prone to flooding. Now, thanks to the Flood Warning Infrastructure Network program, funded by the Australian Government under the Emergency Response Fund, we can replace 9 of our temporary cameras with permanent cameras. We are now data sharing with TMR, allowing our camera angles to be shared on a site-by-site basis, reducing the need to install additional cameras in those areas. This year, we've also completed the installation of 10 new permanent cameras located at the 5 referable dams at Rosewood, in Marburg, Limestone Park, Springfield Upper and Springfield Lower. We are fast approaching our storm season. We all have a role to play in preparing for emergencies and natural disasters, including floods, fires and storms. I encourage residents to take steps now to understand how your home may be impacted. Write down an action plan, create an emergency kit of essential supplies and repair your home through activities such as clearing gutters and pruning trees. Certainly Save Council's Ipswich Disaster Dashboard is one of your favourites, as has all the current disaster and emergency information, including all the road closures, the power outages, emergency warnings and those live feeds from the Bureau of Meteorology as well. And of course, you can view our flood camera feed on there also and make informed decisions about travel. So we'll be supporting this one. Thank you.
No, that's great, Mayor. And I understand that the camera's already been installed at the Rosewood retention basin, which is great news for the residents of Rosewood. Any other contributions?
Yeah, just briefly, if I may.
Yes, Councillor Antonelli.
Yeah, just as the LDMG chair, I'm very excited about these new cameras, but more importantly, I'd like to commend our staff for engaging with and getting an outcome with the Department of Transport and Main Roads to share Council's camera footage and images. So I think that's a very, very good step forward in a relationship with DTMR.
Yes, I understand there's discussions between us and Department of Transport and Main Roads with regard to the camera they have at Colleges Crossing. And it might be that we don't need a camera because they have a camera, but I understand those discussions are continuing. Does anyone require a council officer to answer any questions? Does anyone want to make any further contributions? If not, I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour of accepting the report? Good. Unanimous. The next item on the agenda is Waste and Circular Economy Transformation Policy Directive update. This is an update report on the continuing implementation of the Ipswich City Council Waste and Circular Economy Transformation Policy Directive, in brackets the directive, following the review of the directive as presented to the Ordinary Council meeting on the 23rd of May 2024. The recommendation is that the report of the Waste and Circular Economy Transformation Policy Directive update be received and noted. Do I have a mover for that? Mayor? Oh, Mayor and Councillor Augustine seconded that. Does anyone require the council officer to? Yes, you do want the council officer. Thanks, Mayor.
Through you, Chair. I'd like to take any questions on this matter. Just that our wonderful sustainability and climate change coordinator, Heike Bell, is very new, so I think it best that I take the questions.
Okay. Well, Mayor, did you have some questions?
Through the Chair, yes, thank you, CEO. I'm looking at the executed code of practice for the waste industry to adopt, working in Ipswich, and the task being engaged in a memorandum of understanding with RIQ for the development of the code of practice. The outcome, obviously, was one of the outcomes to have a code of practice, and RIQ have asked us to have a memorandum of understanding. How is that progressing?
Sorry, through the Chair, just make some overarching comments and then I'll come to your question specifically if I can, Mayor. So as noted and reported previously, we've established a project control group earlier this year that followed the review that was presented to Council also earlier this year, and we are reviewing the format and template for the quarterly reports that we'll provide. So I will just provide a bit of a caveat, if I can, that the attachment 1 to the report that you see, we will work on and further improve. We're just really trying to take a more consolidated approach to our reporting on the variety of actions to deliver on the 10 principles of the directive. The code of practice, so as per previous updates, there wasn't support from the CEO of the previous CEO of RIQ to proceed directly to a code of practice for the waste industry. As you know, Mayor, it was the position, the preference of RIQ to develop a memorandum of understanding. There was significant work done in drafting of a memorandum of understanding, but agreement has not been reached on that. As myself and the General Manager of Planning and Reg Services and the General Manager of Environment and Sustainability, we've now re-engaged with the new CEO of RIQ. We've had 2 meetings. We have another meeting scheduled where we need to sit down and we really need to get that work advancing. It hasn't progressed in the last few months, to be frank, and that's probably due to a range of workload issues on our side, but also
on myself as well. There were certain things in that MOU that I could not sign, and I think this council would sign off on.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very clear that you weren't happy with the MOU, so it's really back to us to sit down with the CEO and say, well, how are we going to find a way forward here with this MOU? So we haven't been able to advance that in the last few months, but as I said, we have got a meeting scheduled and we will progress that in earnest again.
Thank you, CEO. Thank you, Chair.
Any further questions for the CEO? If there's no further questions, I'll put the recommendation that the report on the Waste and Circular Economy Transformation Policy Directive update be received and noted.
Sorry, can we go into discussion?
Oh, sorry, Mayor. Sorry, I forgot about it. Yep, go for me.
Thank you, Chair. Look, it's good to see the progress continues to be made regarding the waste and circular economy for the benefit of the community. The additional compliance role has been created to focus on waste, and the role was approved in the budget, and once filled will really, I think, really help our community, help drive better compliance within the waste industry through improved programs and enforcement actions. Work is also beginning on the sustainable procurement, which will guide council when purchasing products to procure more sustainable products produced by sustainable companies, which will reduce the impact of council's waste on the environment. Council continues to source support programs to ensure Ipswich gets the best return for the community through leveraging the government's waste levy initiatives and grant funding. And so significant movement has happened in the last quarter, especially regarding to the material recovery facility with Logan and Redland City Councils. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Any other contributions before I put the matter to a vote? There being no other... Yes, Matt? Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay, Mayor, I'll put the matter to a vote. Those in favour? Thank you. I note that it's unanimous.
Is your mic on?
Oh, good. Thanks, Councillor Antonelli. This is Ipswich City. Next item is item 5, Ipswich City Council's financial contribution to the Resilient Rivers Initiative through South East Queensland Council of Mayors. This is a report concerning Ipswich City Council's financial contribution to the Resilient Rivers Initiative through the Council of Mayors. The recommendation is that the Ipswich City Council pay the Council of Mayors, SEQ, the sum of $224,263 as its financial contribution to the Resilient Rivers Initiative for the 2024-2025 financial year. Can I have a mover for that recommendation? Yes, Councillor Antonelli. Councillor Johnick, seconded. Does anyone require the council officer to answer any questions? If not, I'll go straight to discussion. Yes, I'll go on.
Know more about this than anyone being on the Council of Mayors. I did note in the report, and the question I was going to ask is, I see that we have 250,000 budgeted for this, which is obviously surplus of over and above the sum that's required. So, what do we do with the remainder of that budgeted amount?
I think I'll need a council officer to answer that question.
Well,
yes, thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Chair.
Name and title, please. Name and title.
Phil Smith, Manager Natural Environment. Thank you for your question, Councillor Antonelli, and through the Chair. We actually were in the budget process while those negotiations were occurring, so it was a conservative estimate to make sure we had sufficient funding. There will be potentially money spare. That'll just be a saving or an underspend in the budget for this year. So there's nothing intended for that in terms of extra works. It was just making sure that we had enough money to cover the payment for this year.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr Smith? If not, you're relieved.
Thank you very much.
Contributions? Yes, ma'am.
If I can, Chair. Look, this is a really great step forward for Ipswich's waterways and wetlands, with this funding going directly towards initiatives that promote healthy and resilient rivers. Previously, Ipswich has made in-kind on-ground investment contributions and also co-funded and co-hosted the Bremer River Catchment Officer role as a contribution, as opposed to a cash into this Resilient Rivers initiative. Ipswich has been the financial benefactor of funding for the Catchment Improvement Program. So you have councils in our, in the South East Queensland's east that have been funding projects like at Black Snake Creek for our city because of that catchment approach, and that's been happening since 2014. So councils received more than $350,000 in financial contributions from our fellow SEQ councils through the Resilient Rivers Initiative for the work on the Black Snake Creek, which is aimed to reduce salinity and sediment as well as the flood risk. Endorsing this recommendation and making this contribution will bring us in line with our other South East Queensland councils, and will also ensure we can access funding through the City Deal, which was signed by all three levels of government back in March 2022 for investment in our local and regional waterways. $40 million will be invested into the region's waterways over the next 5 years through the Resilient Rivers Initiative as part of a cooperative partnership between all three levels of government. None of us can fix our rivers on our own, and this collaboration brings about a holistic approach, ensuring our catchments and rivers can be more resilient in the face of severe weather events and urban development across the southeast. Healthy rivers are the lifeblood of southeast Queensland, and supporting a diverse range of native plants and animals, and also importantly keeping the sediment out of our waterways, as well as promoting our economy through industry such as agriculture and tourism. So I'll be supporting this. Thank you, Chair.
Any other contributions? The motion is that the Ipswich City Council pay Council of Mayors, SEQ, the sum of $2,024,263 as its financial contribution to the Resilient Rivers Initiative for 2024-25 financial year. I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Good. Unanimous. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is notices of motion, and I don't have any. Next item is matters arising, and I don't believe I have any. And the final item is formal procedural motions and formal matters, and I don't believe I have any. I'll close the meeting at 1:04 p.m. and I thank the councillors and those people in attendance. Thank you very much.